Thank you. So, intention of this session is just to go over a couple of things about how you can deliver the Paddle Sports Start and Discover Awards that are from British Canoeing in your role as a paddle sport instructor. Hopefully, I set this up with the chat function is live. So if you've got questions and things like that, pop them in the chat, and then we'll have a bit of time at the end. I'm not going to be able to type and talk at the same time, so we'll go back to questions afterwards. But if you park them in there, then we can go back and have a look through those towards the end of the session. If you've got any pressing questions while we're going and it's relevant to the section we're talking about, use your raise hand function, and then we can have a brief discussion about that then. So what I really want to do is talk about a couple of different sections really. First of all is your is your environmental remit that you can work in. Then we're going to talk a little bit about site-specific training, and we'll talk about the various different websites that British Canoeing have got, and then we'll talk a little bit about the actual delivery, because you've all been trained how to do that, so that's going to be the easiest part. But I know it can be quite confusing trying to find your way around the 3 or 4 different websites that are available. So we'll start with the environmental remit. Now, the role that you're in, the paddle sport instructor, is not a standalone qualification. But what I mean by that is you need to work under the guidance of a higher level coach for now, and you can work within very sheltered water environment. So I'm going to try and share my screen now and show you. Let's go for that one. Okay, that should have come through, and if I can find the right page. We should have done a little bit more. Here we go. So where we are at the moment is in the British Canoeing Awarding Body website, and inside here is your environmental definitions document, which just defines what it is to be very sheltered water. Okay, there's loads and loads of information here. I recommend that you have a look at it. There we go. So this is your very sheltered water, and you might notice there's a few things separate, different in here to what you've been told, but the key things to look at are the definitions up here: the quiet canals, easy bankside access and egress, small lakes, which are easy to get to the shore of, and this one here is quite key. You mustn't be able to get more than 50 meters from the bank. Okay, there's a little bit of information here on ratios. Now we are governed by TARS and IBOS as well, so these are guidelines that British Canoeing have put together, but we in the Sea Cadets operate under slightly different ratios, so these are not necessarily the gospel. But the information's on there. This then goes down into sheltered water, moderate and advanced. So it's great to have a look at and to familiarise yourself with. But the key one here is that we're operating in very sheltered water. Now, it is one of your responsibilities to make sure that you don't go out of remit, because if anything goes wrong, it's going to come down to you to say, well, you're not really allowed to be out here, are you? And you haven't got to come back for that. So make sure you're familiar with your definitions of what very sheltered water is, and make sure that you stay within that. Okay, now the other thing that I mentioned was that you need to have site-specific training. Now, hopefully that's something that's familiar to you all, and this isn't the first time that you're hearing about it. If you are in a position where you want to operate without direct supervision of a higher level coach, the good news is you can do that. Okay, you can do that as long as you meet a few other requirements. Okay, Keith's pointed out you've got no hands to put up. If you come off mute and ask the question, I can't see everybody on one screen, so if you do have a pressing thing, just say excuse me and we'll answer that. So if you meet a few separate requirements, additional requirements, you can operate without the direct supervision of a high-level coach. Those are that you are fully enrolled in the Sea Cadets, you've got your DBS, you've got your safeguarding, and all of that stuff is in place. You have a first aid qualification, a valid and appropriate first aid qualification. Appropriate means that it covers drowning and it covers first aid. Sorry, not first aid, hypothermia. Okay. The other thing you need to do then is to book onto a site-specific training. Okay, and that is, as it sounds, for each venue that you want to operate in. So if you went to Clapston Boat Station and did a site-specific training, you then wanted to go and deliver a unit, you'd need to do a separate site-specific training for that unit. And all it does is it goes over everything that you need to know, where the kit is, how the sessions operate, where the buoyancy aids are handed out, all that sort of stuff. Then it goes into the environment, so the operating area, any other water users, any particular dangers or issues with that environment. There could be fishermen, for example, or they've got limit of operation because there's a lock and a weir just down the way. So you'd need to cover all of that off. And then when you get that signed off, put it in your logbook, you are then authorized to work under deployment, which is slightly different. So you still would need to check in with somebody and say, this is what I'm doing on my session, this is where I'm going, are you happy with that? And they'll give you a thumbs up, or they say, actually, let's think about it a little bit more. And then you can go and you can work with your group. Now, your ratios will be probably slightly lower when you first start. And then as you get more confident, it would get higher. If you have a high level of award above the paddle sport instructor, no, you do not. If you have a UKCC award, the level 1, then you do. If you have a coach or a level 2 qualification, then you do not need site-specific training. In fact, you can access the DLE course that's about to be released in order to deliver the site-specific training. Joe Alexander, level 4 in all areas. Good job, good job. You don't need to do site-specific training. This is for the paddle sport instructors qualifications. Okay, so that's site-specific training. The important thing here is you need to have it in place before you take groups out on your own, and you need to do a separate one for each venue that you operate in. Okay, it's almost like that's the boring bits out of the way. Okay, we're going to have a look at now some of the websites. So with your paddle sport instructor awards, you're allowed to deliver the British Canoeing Start and the British Canoeing Discover, which are the first two on the qualifications ladder. The Start is pretty much a taster session where you'll be taking cadets out, or adults as well, for their first go paddling, and you'll be giving them a fun session, and the intention is that you leave them infused and wanting more, and they're going to come back to the sport and keep going with it. So it's really, really important that you give them a very good time and they have an enjoyable, fun and session, and they learn some useful skills. The Discover goes in a little bit more, and it would replace what was the 1 star if you're around for the new qualifications. And that one's got a little bit more content in there. So there's a couple of things that I'm going to show you. I'm going to switch my screen back on to share. And we'll go through some of the various websites. If I can get that thing at the top to go away. There we go. Okay, so a lot of these are administered through the Go Paddling website. So gopaddling.info is the British Canoeing website for the sort of the basic introduction to the sport. Okay, I have to forgive my internet, it's quite slow, so it might take just a little while to load up. So in here, there's loads of information for people who want to go and do some paddling. And for you, as the deliverers, there's also lots and lots of useful stuff in here. So we'll have a look first at how you can administer the awards. Okay, and then we'll have a look back at the other stuff. So if you go all the way to the very, very bottom, there's a little button down here. It's very well hidden. It says Provider Resource Center. And if you click on that, it's going to take you to the certification center. Now, before you can actually deliver these, you need to do the online training, which is it's a short course. It's an online module, and it allows you to deliver the new Paddle Sport Awards. I'll show you where that lives in a few minutes. But in here, you can administer the Start and the Discover Awards. Now, if you're doing it for 3 or 4 cadets, you just go on there, you type in their information one at a time. It's not so much of a big deal. But if you've done a camp or something like that, and you're the one who's uploading a lot of them, then you can also, up here, you can download a template Excel sheet, enter all the information into the Excel, and then upload that. It just makes it a lot quicker and a lot easier for you. Now, you're also going to need to pay for the Discover Awards. The Start Awards are free, but when you get to the Discover Awards, there's a fee to pay. So you need to find a person with a credit card and get them to be next to you while you're doing that. Or you need to be willing to collect, if it's at your own unit, it's probably easier to do it yourself, to collect the payment for the certificates and then pay for it yourself. So we'll have a little click in here and show you what it is. It's very straightforward. Country, provider. I need to do the country first. England. And the provider, this is a registered delivery centre. So you're not going to be looking for your own unit or anything like that. We are listed in here. Oh, just gone past it, as Sea Cadets England. So you click on Sea Cadets England and you add in your email address and the date of the award. And then you've got a couple of options here. You can put them in individually, as I said, or you can upload a spreadsheet like this. And I think you get an option to have the certificate sent to you to print out and hand over to them, or the certificates get emailed directly to the participants and they can do that themselves. It's quite nice to print them out and actually hand them a paper certificate, especially for the Discover, because they're paying for it. But they do get an emailed version as well. Okay, so that's the administration of the awards, and this is in the Go Paddling website. What I'm going to do is just pop this into the chat. No, I'm not. I'm going to do this at the end of the session, so it doesn't break the flow right now. Okay, so hopefully you're happy with that. The Go Paddling is the site that you use for administration. Now, if you want to go somewhere different, there's lots of information on here about places that you can go to go paddling.
Can I just jump in for a second and go back a bit to the certification?
Yeah, please do.
The course that I attended at Bedford unit.
Yeah.
The process you've just described about going through and signing, getting the certificates issued, etc.
Yeah.
What I also did was screenshotted them. Mm-hmm. So that they went to the individual cadet, but then they could have them presented at the unit as a sort of wash up at the end of the evening or something like that if they want to make a big sort of thing about it.
And was that the certificates, or was that the list of participants that you?
No, that was the list of certificates, because the actual individual paddlers came from lots of different units.
Okay, that's quite nice to do.
So it's just another option for people to be aware of.
It is, and thanks for pointing that out. It's also very helpful if there's a problem with anything. So you've then got that record there. Okay, so on here, back to what we're going for. There's lots and lots and lots of stuff that is useful for you. So we'll have a look at the paddle points, which is probably a really good thing to do. What this is a list of places that you can go for a paddle. Now, do be aware that in your remit as a paddle sport instructor, you cannot take people on journeys. You're site specific and you're close to a base. So if you wanted to go and do a little bit of paddling for your own personal development, this is great. If you want to arrange a trip and you have someone who's got a higher level qualification, a coach or a UKCC level 2 award, they can take the journey. You can go along as a helper on that journey. It'd be really, really good for your personal development. But on here, there's a map of the whole country and there's loads and loads and loads of things listed. Lots of information on there, where to get on, where to get off, significant features on the way, bridges, car parking, things like that. There's information on access, which can be quite a contentious issue sometimes, and loads and loads of stuff. So let's have a look, see what we've got in Cheltenham, not Cheltenham, Chelmsford. All right, we'll go here. So there's a little section up here, and let's have a look at what some of these things are. There we go, car parking space, most important one. The General Elliot, that looks like a public house. And they list bridges, weirs, restaurants, places you can eat. So this is really, really good for finding out places that you can go. Now, all of these will be covered by the Waterways license that you get with your membership, which you need to have for your qualification to be valid. Hopefully you're all members and you will continue to be members. It's a really good idea to do it on direct debit because you get it at last year's price if you do that. So it saves you a couple of quid, or it just defers you paying the full price. Okay, and there's heaps of information on there. And I would really, really encourage you to go out and do some paddling for yourself. There's a little bit more on here as well in the UK rivers, but we're not going to spend any more time looking at that. You can have a look through here. There's loads of information. Do get yourself familiar with it as we go. Okay, something else that you're going to need to do as you go and start delivering places is to prove your coach status is valid. So when you do your qualification, you get 3 years of coach validity before you need to do some CPD, before you need to upskill or refresh your training. So you'll need to do a download from your membership portal. So we're going now into British Canoeing website, moving away from Go Paddling, and we're into British Canoeing. And I've signed in here to my membership portal. If it gets there, and then we're going to go to the credentials, and this is what we're looking at here. So this will have all of your qualifications on, and you'll be looking for your active status. So these are all the provider qualification. This is the wrong page, excuse me. The qualifications here. So here we go. The canoe and kayak qualifications are here and shown as active. So you want to show this with the date that's down in the bottom corner of your screen. Take a screenshot of that. That's a really good way of evidencing that you are current as a coach. Okay, so this is the British Canoeing membership portal. There's, again, loads and loads of stuff in here. If you wanted to go on, if you wanted to go on to further training for yourself, you can find all that through here. You can book onto orientations, further British Canoeing courses. If you were looking at doing training outside of the Sea Cadets, if you're in the Sea Cadets, then you're probably going to be booking onto things that are on Westminster. So they're going to be in-house. But if you were keen and really wanted to progress and you couldn't get access to that, or if you're looking at higher level stuff, it's going to mostly be through here. So you can find out what's coming up and you can book yourself onto courses through the portal on the British Canoeing membership site. Okay. Now I've got, unfortunately, at the top of my screen, I've got all the Zoom controls. So I can't see my tabs. I'm going to have to just flick through them until I find the right one. So apologies for that. It's gonna, there we go. First time lucky. We've now moved on to the British Canoeing Awarding Body. So this website is where all of the qualifications sit. So your paddle sport instructor information on the coaching awards, and information on the syllabuses and things like that are all in here. This is where we came for the environmental definitions document. And in here, it's got all of the syllabuses. There's a nice little video you can watch on delivering them. Loads and loads and loads of information. But again, the ones that we're interested in here are the content, so the syllabuses of them. You click on that, pop it up, once it's downloaded. And there we go. So this is where you're going to come to look at what's on the qualifications. Excuse me if you've gone over this a million times before, you covered it on your course, but I think it's really, really worthwhile doing. I still come back here. I've been coaching for 20 years, and I still come back to this website every time I do a course, just so I've got the most up-to-date syllabus. I used to download them and save them on my hard drive, but I found out that they actually update them quite often. So it's much better to just pop to the website and get it before your course. So in here, it goes over all of the content. It doesn't tell you how to deliver it, but it does tell you what needs to be delivered. And so you can come to this document, then you can look at your weather forecast, look at your group that you're going to be working with, and work out your session plans for the delivery. Okay, we'll talk a little bit more about session plans afterwards. But this is, I just wanted to show you where you can find your syllabuses. Now, you'll notice that just while this is on the screen, you're not going to be told what it is that you need to teach. So they don't say, teach a sweep stroke, put your paddle in at the front, go in a wide arc all the way to the back, keep your arms straight and rotate your body. It doesn't say that. It says, effectively turn your boat. So you need to start to interpret that and to think about what boat they're in. You might find that in your group, you've got people who are in different styles of boats. So I'm not going to try and keep up with the chat while we're going. If there are questions in there that I don't get to at the end, pop them up again. We'll have a Q&A towards the end of it. So you might find that people are in different types of boats and they need different techniques to turn them. So that's why they've changed it. It's very much cause and effect is a good way of thinking about it now. So session planning becomes even more important to think about. It's moved on from do this and that happens. It's far more considerate of the environment, the type of boat, people's ability. And so your job as an instructor gets a little bit more complicated, but also more rewarding. There's a lot of problem solving going on. But you're going to want to be planning your sessions ahead of time. And if you know your venue and you know what boats you've got and you know what's available to you, that makes it a lot easier. More often than not, there's going to be a few surprises and you might find it a bit trickier to get that information ahead of time. But it's all good fun. Okay, so these are the syllabuses. So we can go back one. There we go. There's also a lot of really, really, really good information in here. These crib cards have been put together with loads of information to help you deliver fun and exciting sessions. So let's have a look at those. I've got a few other things I'm going to show you on this as well, but let's start with these ones. Okay, so Paddle Start Award, load of considerations on there, bright, colourful, and 1 page long. So you can print this out, A5 piece of paper, double-sided, laminate it, stick it in your pointy aid, you've got it to hand right now. But it covers the main subjects from those syllabuses on here. very, very useful to have. There's black and white versions of them down there. So this is a really, really, really good place to come to find out your stuff. Now, it can be a little bit tricky navigating through here. I'll come to you in a second, P.O. Terrell. It can be a little bit tricky navigating through here. So the best thing to do is to just come to the search bar and type in what it is you're looking for. But most of them you'll find through the guidance documents or through the personal performance documents. So we're in the Paddle Award resources at the moment. But most of them are in the document section. There's loads of other stuff in here that might be useful for you to look at, but we're not going to be talking about those today. This is a really good one, just as an aside. If you haven't done it yet, have a go at this, and it really helps you to focus in on what it is that you're doing, and what you're interested in. Okay, somebody put their hand up. P.O. Terrell, I believe it was. You want to pop off mute? I've got a question. No, I can't hear anything. I didn't hear that. Could you try again, please? Ah, okay, I see. That's okay. All right, so moving on. A lot of what we're doing, the syllabuses are actually quite short. There's not a huge amount of content on the awards themselves. Now, that is very helpful because what people, or how people learn best, is by having fun. So yes, you might be teaching them how to turn their boat, but the real way that that's going to stick and the real way they're going to learn it is by playing some games and having fun in their boats. So, oh, that thing's just popped up again. Skip through, skip through, skip through. Where are we getting to? This one here. Okay, so it's really, really key to have a toolbox full of games, fun things that you can do to trick your cadets into learning stuff. So you give them a little short, sharp session, 5 minutes or no more than that, and set them off playing some games. I just Googled canoe and kayak games. There is a whole book about it. I'm going to show you a resource for that in a moment. But this one came up and I thought it was really good. It's got loads and loads of simple games that you can look at. I'm going to put this into the chat at the end, so don't worry about it. But there's loads and loads and loads of stuff on here. But it is going to be your secret weapon to teaching your cadets how to paddle well. If they're enjoying what they're doing, they're going to learn, they're going to remember what they're doing. Okay. Let's have a look at some of the other things. Now, depending on when you did your course, you may have been sent these already, but they're available from the awarding body. And it's a series of cards that go over games. All right. If you want a copy, then I'll put my email address in, email me afterwards and I'll send them to you via email. But it's just got a load of simple games laid out with all of your considerations. And the key one in here is this technical aim session. So you're looking at, what do I want them to do? I want them to feel comfortable in the boat. Okay. Want them to be able to move around. Let's do this game. Tag. There we go. So there's loads and loads and loads of stuff in here. You're limited by your imagination and a few health and safety regulations, but mostly you're limited by your imagination as to what you can do, come up with ideas for people. Okay, so there's 2 of these. Game cards. There we go. This one is based on the cross-stream challenge. So if you've ever done slalom at the area level or any of the competitions, you will be familiar with the cross-stream course. It's like a number 5 on the dice. So you've got 2 gates at the top, 2 gates at the bottom, and 1 gate in the middle. So you've got 5 gates. You can make them out of a couple of bricks and some empty milk bottles and some hairy string if you've not got any resources. But anywhere where you can set up a set of 5 gates, it looks like that. There's these set of activity cards that's got loads and loads of things that you can do using these 5 gates. So these ones, when you go through the center one, you're going to spin your boat 360 degrees. You can add an element of competition, and you can set people off maybe 2 at a time going opposite ways, or you can use a stopwatch and time them. But there's loads and loads of different things that you'll be able to do here. The limbo one is quite good fun. You have somebody holding their paddle out, and they've got a limbo underneath them. So again, loads and loads and loads of stuff that you can do here. What's this one? A hot seat. So using 1 boat, if you've got more cadets than you've got boats, really, really good for that. Also, if you've got a rowdy bunch or if it's quite windy, it halves the number of people you've got on the water. So really, really good one to use here. Swapping over in between. Okay. So if you want copies of these, again, you're more than welcome to have them. My favorite one is this one, Just Add Water, it's called. And this has got loads and loads of games based on the fundamentals. So posture, connection, power transfer and feel, the fundamentals of paddle sport in here. If you can get them using these from the beginning, they're going to do really, really well. Okay, so let's just whiz down a little bit, see what's in there. Oh, there we go, dead easy. Shut your eyes, do this, do that, do the other, see how it goes. Looking for, there's a load of games in here as well. Anyway, I'll let you peruse this at your own leisure. There's loads and loads and loads of tips and tricks, and games and information that's been collected from years and years of people doing this job, so you don't need to reinvent the wheel. What I am going to talk about now, we've shown you most of the resources, is putting it together into a session plan. I'm going to try and do this in the next 5-9 minutes, and then we'll have the last 15 minutes or so for a discussion, questions, answers, anything like that that you want to talk about. So as a paddle sport instructor, hopefully you're working with high-level coaches. Now, the most important thing you can do here is steal all their ideas. That's it, straight up. It's how I learned. It's how most of the people I know learned. You work with other people, you look at what they're doing, and you either think, that's brilliant, I'm having that, and you take a note of it and you put it in your toolbox and you save it for later. Or you look at what they're doing and you think, I'm not too sure about that, so I'm going to make a note never to do that again. But you're going to learn a lot from working with other people. So actively seek out a variety of people to work with, and then take the best of what they're doing and forego all of the stuff that they're doing that doesn't work. It's amazing how much you will spot observing other people working. If you're delivering, you're so focused on delivering that you miss quite obvious things sometimes. So if you're assisting other higher level coaches, you're going to be able to spot a lot of things. You'll be able to see the big picture. You'll be able to see what's engaging. You'll be able to see when the cadets are switched off. You'll be able to see what works and what really gets the information across. Okay, so work with a variety of people as much as possible and steal their ideas. All right. Spend a lot of time on your session plans. If you're delivering a weekend of a paddle sport discover course, spend time thinking about your session plans. Spend time thinking about how you're going to get the information across to them and what it is that you're going to do to make it fun, to make it engaging. And then once you've got that, put it in your folder and save it for next time. You will gain a lot through the planning process, but part of the planning process is to review it afterwards. Okay, let's see if I can find the right page. Hopefully you're familiar with this, Sea Cadets headquarters. In here, we're in the Learning tab, under Inshore Boating, and then we're going to go to Operating Standard. So in here is IBOS, which is the Inshore Boating Operating Standard. There's a load of stuff in there about the 3 C's being current, certified, and competent. Here we go. This is what we're aiming for. Session planning will help you with all of these. The other thing that's in here is the plan, do, review, adapt cycle. So you plan a session, you go deliver it, you review it at the end and go, actually, that wasn't so great. I lost their attention halfway through and they all started to drift off and stop paying attention to what I was saying. So I'm going to adapt my session and put in another game. And then you go and do it again, and you follow that cycle around. And what you'll do is hopefully each time you'll change what you're doing and it will help you to improve. And sooner or later, you'll find the things that really, really work for you, for your style, for the people you're working with, the environment you're in. Okay, so it's super important when you've done your session plans that you go back and you periodically check them over and make sure that they work for you. All right, and talk about format. They did for the UKCC ones, they came up with loads and loads of really complicated session plans with loads of boxes on and time and outcomes and equipment and all this stuff. My favorite session plans are a blank piece of paper. And I just write down on there, what do I need to do? How am I going to do it? And I just put loads of stuff like a brainstorm. And then I just circle a few things and go, I'm going to do this, this, and this. And this is going to take 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 20 minutes. And then I've got a session plan. Now, I've had a lot of experience doing this. You might want a more structured one, and you could use the introduction, the main body of the session, and then a games section, whatever you want. Ask the coaches that you're working with what they do. Ask to see their session plans, and ask to, if you can show them yours, and they can give you some feedback on that. But it's super, super important to get those things in place, especially if you're new to the sport. Once you understand it and you've got your session plans, you're not going to be needing to think about it while you're going. Your brain power is going to be spare for you to keep an eye on things, to keep your safety in check, and to also have a bit more fun. If you're there worried about the content, it's going to be far less engaging than if you've got that taken care of already and the cadets are there enjoying themselves. Okay, that is, I think, all of the stuff that I was going to talk about on here. Let's see what these, yeah, so that's the games. What I'm going to do is now go into the chat and see what's on here and answer some of the questions. If there's anything that I don't cover, then I can stay on for a little while after. I'll also give you my email address. If there's stuff that hasn't come up just yet, then send me an email and I will get back to you on that when I can. Okay, so drop down list of links visited. Yes, I will. I'll just copy and paste them straight into this chat towards the end. High level award, we covered that one. Who can give the site-specific training? Okay, so you need to find somebody who has got a UKCC level 2 coach with moderate water endorsement, or the new British Canoeing Coach Award or higher. Okay, it doesn't need to be someone who's in the Sea Cadets, but you do need to arrange it in such a way that they can visit your centre or your unit, and they can go through. They need to know the venue. They need to know the area that they're working with in order to induct you into it. If they're showing up for the first time, it's not really going to work because they need to know what the dangers are, what there is to avoid, what your operating areas are, and things like that. We are working on, within the inshore boating team, we're working on an online learning module, which is in the defence learning environment. I think it's called CLMS, is probably what you know it as. It's where you go to do your safeguarding training and all those online modules. And that will be an enabler for people who, so we've got to take it to British Canoe and get them to agree to it, but we want to make it easier for people to deliver the site-specific training. So we're going to ask for them to take away the moderate water endorsement. So someone who's got a UKCC level 2 or coach award and our DLE training should be able to deliver it. Okay, hopefully that answers that one. Sound isn't great. If you're a PI, you can work under a coach, but you will need a site assessment, not if you're working under direct supervision. So as a PI, you don't need to have a first aid certificate. This is why you can't operate independently initially. So you should, if you're under a direct supervision, as in you and the other coach are on the water at the same time, you do not need to have site-specific training. If you want to work without that direct supervision, you need to go through the site-specific training process. Okay, how does it relate to Sea Cadets in Scotland, as we're all members of the SCA? It's the same. It's part of British Canoeing, so the rules on delivery are the same. As far as I'm aware, I'm not Scottish, but as far as I know, the awarding body is an umbrella over the top of all of the other, all of the local English, Scottish, Welsh, and Northern Ireland. They all stick to the same rules. Okay, if you're a level 1 coach and a paddle sport leader, can you take a group on a slow moving river? As a paddle sport leader, yes, you can. And you can give them a little bit of coaching on the way. So you're using 2 separate qualifications there. You'd need to make sure you stick to within the remit of your paddle sport leader qualification. But yes, that's a really, really great way to enable you to go further afield from your normal operating area. If you get your paddle sport leader, it's a lot easier to achieve than the coach, and it will allow you to go a little bit further. Now, the difficulty, if you're just a leader, is you're not allowed to coach. So if you've got complete beginners, you can't work with them as a leader. But if you're a paddle sport instructor and a leader, then you've got your taking care of beginners and introducing them to sport, and you've got your going on a journey with the competent people. So you can, however, you want to run it past someone and make sure that everyone's happy with you doing that. Okay, it's a little bit of a grey area there. How long is PI accreditation valid for? They've actually just changed the CPD update thing this year. So it's now based on points. When you do a qualification, you gain points depending on how long it is, what level it is. You get between 5 and 15 points. And you need to have 30 points at the end of the period for your qualifications to remain valid. So you can, if you're a teacher, for example, and you do teacher training updates, you can use that as APL, and you can submit your qualifications or your outside learning and get points for that. Or you do any of the British Canoeing modules, further qualifications, online learning, and you'll get points for that. Someone just answered it. There we go. Various ways of updating. Well, perfect. I should probably read ahead before I answer these questions. Put all links to the Word doc. I can send it to all tomorrow along with any other docs. Who said that? So, okay. Fantastic. Okay, so Sarah is going to, I'll put all the information into one document. I'll add, you can send out the PDFs as well, can you, Sarah? Give us a thumbs up. Yep, perfect. I'll put all of these resources together into a document, and then Sarah will email it to all of you. So don't worry about getting hold of those. Okay. Is the requirement for entry into Sea Cadet competitions paddle start? If so, to be honest, I don't know. I know how to set the courses up and people show up and take part. I'm lucky that I don't need to get into the entries. If anyone on here knows what the entry requirements are for competitions, then let us know.
It's Discover.
It's Discover. There we go. They need to have Discover to do that. Thank you, Brenda. So we need people to have a little bit of competency before we set them off in a competition. Okay, are we able to work with external paddle sport provider that has relevant qualification paperwork, ALA, to be able to offer more time on the water? Absolutely, yes, you can. You can visit any other centre by yourself with cadets. You become a customer of theirs, so you're operating underneath their jurisdiction. And the only thing is, if you're taking cadets and it's a Sea Cadet trip, you need to treat it as if you were going on any other trip to any other location. Okay, so you probably need to have consent forms, all that stuff in place. On the go paddling, how do we access the certification area? Again, at the very, very bottom of the page in the footer, there's a tiny little box that says provide a resource area. You click on that and it takes you to the page. It's worth having just a bookmarks folder because there are a lot of pages now for British canoeing qualifications and stuff like that. So it's worth just getting the bookmarks and sticking them all together. Okay, how long do you think an ideal time for a practical session is? Personally, about 8 hours. That's my ideal practical session. Realistically, 90 minutes is a really good time on the water. It's short enough that you can really pack it with activity. It's not so long that they're all going to get worn out by the end. Okay, when we're delivering sessions, we generally aim for 90 minutes. Gives you 10 minutes or so getting kitted up, getting changed again at the end, 10 minutes or so getting all the kit out, and about an hour of actual on the water activity. Now, if it's the middle of the summer, it's going to be easier to extend that, but if it's the winter, keep it short, keep it active, keep them warm. Also make sure that you've got extended operating accreditation, because you're only allowed to work in the summer unless you've got permission from, I think it's Inshore Boating, the access that give that out. Is Paddle Sport Leader available through the core? It will be. They've just changed the syllabus this year, and because of COVID, they've cancelled all of the updates and inductions and things. So I was supposed to be doing my provider training in February. It's now gone to October, so it will be available. People who could already deliver it can transfer to the new one, but I expect it's going to be few and far between to start with. But it is something that there's an appetite to deliver, because it's a really great enabler for getting people on the water and for going on those short journeys. Okay, so it will be available. I can't say what capacity and how quickly it will be available. Okay, how do I get my SUP module added to Westminster? If you've got the certificate, take it to your training officer. They can scan it and upload it. If they can't do it because of the permissions for awarding things, ask your ASO. If they can't do it, go to a boat station. If they can't do it, go to HQSO, I would say. If you did your SUP module through the core and it was a Westminster course, it should automatically be awarded. If you've gained it outside and you're coming in with your certificate, it might be a little bit tricky because of the permissions as to who is allowed to give them. But you just need to go up a level each time. Any problems, you can email the Inshore Boating team. If you can't solve it locally, somebody there will be able to help you out with that. Do Sea Cadets accept British Canoeing Lifeguards aquatic first aid? It's not recognised on the APL first aid on the recent email from Sea Cadet HQ. I hope so. It might not be the one-day one, but the two-day one, I really hope they do. I'm planning on providing some to keep instructors valid. I think it's likely to have been an oversight because the headquarters staff are not necessarily experts in all of the first aid qualifications, of which there are hundreds and hundreds. So I will look into that, actually. I'll make a note to check that one. I am 99% sure that it's a British Canoeing First Aid Award. It will validate your British Canoeing teaching and the instructing qualifications. Okie dokie, are we nearly to the bottom? Will they accept Rec 2 first aid course then? I hope so. I really do. CPD automatically update as points, and last year didn't show my profile. They wipe it. They wiped it at the beginning of the year. So your CPD points have wiped out, and you've got to do them ongoingly from now on. Rec 2, yes, I would imagine so. It's quite a substantial first aid course. There's someone shaking their head there for Rec 2.
Yeah, there is an issue with that because the Rec 2 is a bolt-on course.
Ah, okay.
Not a standalone course.
Okay.
Again, it's one of those situations where the Sea Cadets or the first aid wallers don't seem to understand the value of the Rec ticket.
I did a Rec course and I found it to be the most in-depth course that I've done so far.
However, it counts for absolutely nothing as far as the area staff are concerned. They don't understand it.
Okay. I think that might warrant a little bit of further investigation because it will validate your qualification. Your British Canoeing qualifications will be okay with a suitable first aid award. Okay. What's this next one? To Joe's question, if the owner of the company is already an instructor in your unit, can their staff teach our cadets without having to do the Sea Cadet induction and be on the books at the unit? There is a light induction option, which is intended for using freelance staff on an irregular basis. So if they were coming along every week, they would need to go through the induction process. If you're using them to deliver a specific course and it's not happening regularly, there is a light induction process, which is under the, I forget what it's called now. It's under the freelance instructor induction. So they do need to meet certain requirements, but they don't need to do the full induction. But if you're planning on using them regularly, absolutely, they need to go through all of the books. How can we get the SUP module? Know a provider. I put one on and it's not even on Westminster and I've already filled it twice. They are in demand, they are available, but they're also hard to come by. SUPs are something that is coming. The Corps are going to buy some. They'll be similar to the windsurfing pods. There's going to be SUP pods that can move around different places, and part of that means that we're going to need to upskill people to use them. So there will be SUP discipline specific modules coming. I know there's a few ASOs that are working towards being able to provide the SUP coach award as well. So if it's something you're interested in, then do keep asking through your ASOs so that they can gauge the level of demand. If everyone is screaming SUP, 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 then it's going to happen quicker than if every once in a while someone goes, oh yeah, I'd quite like to do that. So the more you let your ASOs know, then the quicker it's going to happen. P.O. Howard, bye. Enjoy your other Zoom. Thanks for coming. So Wellsharp do have some SUPs. I think they're getting some more. Are Sea Cadets keeping polo as a competition? Are PIs allowed to teach it? Are the rules going to change? I don't know. That is a events team question. In terms of teaching polo, you can use it as a game. It's a game you can play in your sessions. Absolutely, you can do those things. The rule book is about 40 pages long, which might be why we use different ones. We use a lightweight version because polo can be quite an aggressive sport, and it would probably put more people off than it encourages. So we do use pared down rules, and we play a light version for the safety and well-being of those who take part. Okay. That's it for the questions. That are
Sam,
there. I see, Louis, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, just a quick one. Obviously, under the old awarding system, it was very much a tick list of what we needed to cover.
Yeah.
Now, under the new guidance of various ones, obviously, it's a lot more subjective. Is headquarters going to issue out something to ensure that as individual coaches across the whole organisation, we kind of have a baseline that we're going for?
This is one of those conversations that goes round.
I can probably answer that. Fundamentally, the whole purpose of the coaching ethos from British Canoeing is that it's very paddler-centric.
Yeah.
So it is down to the coach and your experience in terms of delivering the qualification to the standard that is appropriate and is and you believe is consistent with that level as described within the program.
Yeah, I mean, this is it. Is where it has become more paddler centric, i.e., one of the great examples they use on the coach training is if Carol wants to just learn how to paddle to the pub with her adult friend, she can get a qualification in line with that. Now, obviously, because of the type of organisation we are, where we're a lot more uniformed by definition, our headquarters looking at a more uniformed, standardised approach to if a kid's got a 2-star kayaking badge, that those cadets are all at a similar standard, so that if they go away on a course, we know that they're proficient to that level.
I don't believe that's something that's coming. I totally agree with what you're saying. It is very subjective, and if you go to a place where their main focus is open canoeing, for example, you're going to find that someone who goes to a place where they mainly do sea kayaking, they're going to have very different skill sets. If you go somewhere like your venue, you've got flow. You're going to learn about eddies. You're going to learn about hiding out of the flow. You're going to keep out of the trees. But if you go to somewhere like the docks, you're going to learn all about the wind. So it is very subjective. I think what the job is as instructors is to find out, as you say, what the paddlers want to do. Now, my biggest issue with that is they don't know what they don't know. So they show up and you say, oh, okay, brilliant. Do you want to learn how to do a stern squirt? And they look at you blankly. They don't even know what that is. Mention a sweep stroke. No. How about we go on a little adventure? All right, yeah, I know what that is. Let's go. So you've got to kind of give it a little bit of a context, and you need to work on what it is that they want to do. With cadets, what do they want to do? They want to have fun. They want to fall in the water, and they want to splash their mates. And if you can teach them something while they're doing that, fantastic. But I don't think that we're going to get that standardization of the syllabus as it was.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, can I put the game card in the email that's going to be sent out? Yes, absolutely. I'll put the 2 game cards and the where's the water, or just add water book. Okay, any more questions that we haven't yet covered? A moment there. Here we go. Really useful, informative. Run through the ends, chat points, webinar wise. First me. You're welcome, Keith. It's good fun to do that. I always enjoy doing these. I dread them beforehand, but once I get into the flow and I'm actually talking about paddling, which is one of my favorite things, it's brilliant. Okie dokie. Any more? Give a moment for people to type in if there's anything else. Come off mute and shout if you need to. Any weird and wacky tools or kit that you find useful to help you teach? I love sponges. Sponges are great. You can empty your boat with them. You can throw them at cadets. They can throw them at each other. They're really, really useful. You can use them for balls. You can use them to play tag with. So they're probably my go-to. Ducks, actual ducks. Okay, there's someone who's come off of mute. There's a lot of background noise going on. So I would use, sponges, as I say. If you can get hold of small plastic coloured balls, various different colours, they're super useful. You can play with them individually. You can chuck a whole load of them out and say, right, go and get them. You can use different colours. So you say, right, anyone who's collecting green ones, they're worth 5 points, and red ones are worth 2 points, and they're paddling around. Just be aware of losing them, because it will happen, and it's pollutant. It doesn't go along with the leave no trace ideals that we work on. Other things that I use quite a lot, and it's not so much for teaching, but it's just something that I keep in my pocket, is a sling and a carabiner. So if you've done your FSRT already, you should have come across them as part of your safety kit. You can use them for quite a lot of stuff. You can use them to join two boats together and they can have tug of wars paddling away from each other. You can use them for rescuing, you can use them for towing, use them for loads of stuff. But sponges, plastic balls, and a sling and a carabiner. An active and varied imagination is probably the most useful thing that you can use as an instructor. Okay, is outdoor first aid considered a valid first aid award? I don't know, Simon. It could be. Is it a Sea Cadet one? Is it an external one? I'm not sure. You need to, so British Canoeing and RYA stopped accrediting first aid awards when the Health and Safety Executive stopped monitoring the quality of them. So there are hundreds and hundreds of providers and they each provide different quality awards. So they put the onus onto you as the instructor, as the coach, to make sure that it was suitable. So if you're working on a canal and you're 100 meters away from the base and they've got a first aid kit and there's good road access, you can get away with a slightly lower level of first aid qualification than if you were operating in a remote area where help is 4 or 5 hours away. So you need to think about where you're working and you need to think about what you're doing, but it absolutely should cover drowning and it should cover hypothermia and environmental first aid stuff, heat illness, sunstroke, things like that. Okay, in terms of what the Sea Cadets recognise, I'm not 100% sure on that, but I'm going to ask a question about the aquatic first aid. So if I can get that question shortly, we'll send the answer out on that Word document with all of the other links and tips and things like that. Okay, any more questions? Any more for any more? No hands up. If you have a safety boat on the water, can you use that person's first aid certificate? Not under the guidelines as we use them. You need to use the coach's first aid certificate or your own first aid certificate. It's very helpful to have a safety boat on the water. However, it doesn't work in this hierarchy of paddle sports. Your safety boater might not know the first thing about kayaking. Their first aid certificate might not be valid. So in short, no. Do you know
that the general rule is don't get near safety boats with a don't let canoes safety boats near your kayaking group because they're dangerous.
Waves, they can be quite fun sometimes. Okay, so
I was thinking more of getting your feet chopped up in propellers.
Oh yeah, there is that. So I've actually seen a kayak that went through a propeller and it sliced clean through the plastic and it just chunk all out the side.
When kayaking first started in the Corps, it was you've got to have a safety boat. So I did some demonstrations to show that.
Yeah, changes sometimes
much quicker than a rescue boat can.
Okay, so remit for the instructor, paddle sport leader. That depends on which level leader you do. So the standard leader awards are sheltered water awards. So you go to your environmental definition and you look up sheltered water. It's going to be canals, slow flowing rivers, areas of open water where you can be up to 200 meters from shore, I think, off the top of my head. If it goes beyond that, then you're getting into the moderate water leader, which is simple rapids, grade 2, occasionally grade 3, more open water, tidal, where you're just that a little bit more exposed, and then the advanced water leader. The names give you the definition. So if it's a leader award, it's going to be sheltered water. If it's an advanced leader award, then it will be advanced water. If it's a moderate water award, it will be moderate water. Clues in the name. Richard, welcome. There were documents or a summary. This is going to be recorded. It's being recorded, and it will be uploaded onto. I'm going to ask you, Sarah, where do they go? I send them into Teams and they put them somewhere else.
They will be available on the content library on the TNA. There's two separate ones. There's one for cadets and one for cabs. You go on the cabs one, it will be in there.
There we go. That answers that one. Okay, fantastic. We're also, Richard, we're also going to send out a document with, so I showed some resources and websites and things like that, and we're going to send those out. I did a load of work for coaching clinics, which is people working towards their paddle sport instructors award, and there's a heap of resources in there. So if you don't mind waiting a couple of days for this email to come out, I'll draw down the other information as well and send you out a bit more of a comprehensive document that just blunderbusses resources at you. Hopefully some of them will stick. Okay, I think that is it. Sarah, do you have the feedback link? I've got it on here somewhere, but I don't know where it is. So if you've got it accessible, could you pop it into the chat, please? This is it. That's it for the content from me. If you've got no more questions, then we'll wrap it up there. I will ask if Sarah finds this link, if you click on it, please, and let people know how it was, if you found it informative, if you found it boring, if you think that I should do it differently, let us know. It's the only way that we can review our sessions, adapt them before we deliver them again. It's all part of the process of making things better. So if you take a few moments, it's not very long, there's not many questions. Is it coming? Do I need to keep talking? It's coming. So yeah, if you could do that, that's really helpful. It helps us to improve, and you guys will get a better product at the end of it. The content library, it's a question for you, Sarah. It's on the TNA website, I do believe. In the virtual, you're muted. You're still muted. You'd think a year of doing this, we would have.
I was pressing the space bar, but it wasn't working. Sorry. I'll stick the content library link on the Word doc with Sam's links as well.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Do this again? Oh, we can do, if you want. We could just all get onto a Zoom call and talk about paddling. I think doing this again, I would just talk about the same stuff. If there's anything more that you want to know, if there's anything more in depth or specific about a particular aspect of paddle sport, or if you want to know how you can work on your personal development or how to progress towards your coach, drop me a line. I'll type my email address. And I'm not going to send it to the waiting room, I'll send it to everyone in the meeting. Yeah, fire me questions. I'm happy to answer them. I'm technically on leave till Monday, so I'm not going to get to it before then. But yeah, any questions you've got, put it in there. If you want to do it annually, biannually, we could probably set that up. I don't see why not. I don't know if it counts as CPD and you won't get any points for it, but we can definitely do that. Okay. I have a quick look in here. Road shows. Have you found that link?
Yeah, but it's not copying and pasting into the chat, I'm afraid.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that.
Where we've super duper done the new spreadsheet, it won't copy it over now.
Oh dear. I don't know. I keep having to find it from different places. How do we do? I've got a Royal Docs one, but I don't think I've got the.
I just don't know why it won't go.
I don't know. You could type it in, but it'll take forever. Okay, I'm going to forego it. What we'll do is we'll put it on to the document so you can get it from there.
I'll put it on the email.
Yeah, there we go.
If you hand the course over to me, then I'll be able to pick everyone's emails up from the course.
Perfect. I don't have it. National Bookings have got it.
All right, I'll drop them a line.
Okay, brilliant. All right, thanks for coming, guys. Hopefully you found it super useful. I really hope if you want to count it as CPD, you need to let them know what the content was and all of that jazz. So if you need help with that, then I can provide an overview. Drop me an email. We'll take it from there. Other than that, let's get excited because we should be able to get back to activity very soon. I'm very, very ready for it. It's been far too long. Thanks for coming, guys. I'm going to end it there and see you on the water.
Thanks, Sam.
You're
Cheers.
welcome.
Thanks, Sam. See you soon.
Bye.
Kevin, you need to hit the leave button.